I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am here, I am here, I am here. I know who you are in truth. I know what you are in truth. I know how you serve in truth. You are here, you are here, you are here. We know who we are in truth. We know what we are in truth. We know how we serve in truth. We are free. We are free. We are free.
My name is James, and this is the first of the Cosmic Foundations meetings that I intend to hold every Wednesday night for people to come and receive valuable knowledge and support in creating the lives that they truly intend to live. The intention of these meetings is to support you also in learning about yourself by developing coherence. Coherence is the clear articulation of intent in such a way so as to produce desired results. By being articulate with our beliefs, which are intentions, beliefs are intentions, by being clearly articulate with our intentions, we develop clarity about who we are and the ways, the strategies, the patterns by which we create our lives. This clarity of orientation and conduct is what I call coherence. So these meetings are to support you in realizing who you are, what you truly desire, and refining your holistic life strategy so as to be aligned with what you truly desire through your values and your goals. So the theme that we'll be exploring today is the supreme importance of knowing what you want. But before we get into the talk itself, if you're able to, inclined, and in a safe place to do so, I would like to invite you to participate in a brief set of decrees. The first set of decrees is what I call an attunement. These are decrees, claims made in agreement with self. They serve to draw your attention inward and witness the cause of your experience as yourself. So you may say these words if you choose. I know who I am in truth. I am here. I am known. And I am free. Behold, I make all things new. All needs are met in perfect ways. Abracadabra, or whatever your magic word is. I like to use abracadabra because it means I create what I speak. What a bar. I invite you to notice that whatever you're witnessing, your thoughts, sensory data, it's all emanating from within. Notice if you're hearing my voice right now, notice that even though you might think that the sound is coming from outside of you, the hearing is happening within. Your internal attention informs your outward experience. The way that you're orienting yourself what you're focused on, what you intend, is the cause of your experience. So it's helpful to notice that, because then we can become more skillful about it. We can be more deliberate in where we focus our attention and how we focus our attention, how we frame things. And this is why intent is such a major theme in what I talk about, because your intent and clarity in that intent is what is aiming your attention. Attention and intention are your cosmic creative powers. When you speak the attunement, I know who I am. I am here. I am known. I am free. Behold, I make all things new. All needs are met in perfect ways. You are making claims that one could only make authentically as the one who is causing their experience. So, this is something that I do every day to declare my position as the executive director of my life. I find it helpful then to articulate some very broad intentions from that purview. There's a type of meditation or technique, prayer even, called metta bhagavan, and this is also known as loving kindness meditation. And the essence of this is to expand the sense of self to include all beings and express positive intent toward all. There are some words in the commonly known version of the Metta Bhagavan that don't really do it for me. So I've made my own variation, and I'll go through that now with you real quickly, and then we'll get into the presentation. So when doing this practice, it's useful to begin by visualizing or otherwise focusing on people that you know and love and care about a lot, because this gets the juices flowing. Care is very potent. And really, care is just another word for attention, but care seems to more commonly have positive connotations, whereas attention is more of a neutral term. When you think about people that you care about, you can feel that positive flow of energy from within you to the point of your attention, whatever that may be. In this case, from within to your thoughts about people that you love and care about. And that's what we're looking for with this practice, because once you've started to witness that positive flow, you can then expand your awareness to include more people, more beings, even the people you don't like. You wish them well too. So ultimately, the point of this is to broaden the scope of your positive intention to include everyone and everything. And as much as you can approach that and hold it, you do for a minute or so, longer if it's comfortable for you. And while you're holding all those people and things in your awareness, you may say these words if you choose. May all beings be well. May all beings know true health. May all beings have enough. May all needs be met in perfect ways. May all beings know peace. May all beings know love. May all beings know freedom. May all beings know prosperity. May all beings know joy. May we all know who we truly are. When you do this, you're calibrating your compass. I'm going to talk about the compass a little bit later on. But when you do this, you're calibrating your compass. So if you do this first thing in the morning, you've set your compass to some powerful, holistic, and broad intentions. And you can refer to those throughout the day as a reminder of what you're aiming for holistically or in a broad sense. To gain full clarity about what you're aiming for as an individual is a unique journey, a quest. And this is what I call the quest principle. Every living being has a quest. For most organisms, this quest is rather simple. The template of the organism, its ambition, its behavior, is largely hardwired in a generic way across the species, right? Individuality, unique individual expression is pretty limited in its scope for most organisms. For humanish beings, however, the situation is rather different. There is a level of complexity in the psyche of humanish beings through which an adequate level of coherence may be held so as to create its own quest. Historically, many human beings have had a tendency to forget their quest. But at the time that I'm sharing this broadcast, early in the common year 2025, for my whole life up to now, I have seen a dramatic increase in the amount of people who I encounter that have remembered their quest and are actively participating in it. It's clear to me that this is only going to become more prevalent because we, humanity, is collectively acknowledging that knowing your quest, even vaguely, is necessary for you to fulfill that quest. Make no mistake about it. Your quest is why you are here. Your quest is your core authentic desires, and inherent to that are your values, as well as the universal intent that we all share to learn about and know the true self. So, what is your quest? What do you really want? This isn't something that you need to answer right now in an ultimate sense. You don't actually need that level of clarity about what you really want in order to move into it and discover it more fully. What would benefit you is to begin to earnestly ask yourself what it is that you want every day. The clarity will come with time. But the consistent giving of attention to the inquiry, what do I want? What do I really want? This is what leads to clarity. Many people know their quest primarily as material goals. And these are valuable. Have them. But speaking of value, your values, things like peace, love, joy, freedom, vitality, prosperity, these are at the heart of all your material goals. So when you identify your values, you then have a compass for your quest. I did say I was going to mention the compass. That's it. That's the mention. Your values are your compass. And your explicit intentions in alignment with those values is like, it's like a tuner for an instrument. It's a way, these clear intentions in alignment with your values are what you use to program your compass, to calibrate it. I did a I did a video on value inquiry, and there's a link to that in the description. If you don't know your values, I encourage you to check that video out. It's not very long. It's really pretty simple stuff. Once you know your values, you can recognize them as being the core motivation for everything that you do. And when you feel uncomfortable or off balance, you can do a value check. What values do I intend to express in this context? You can do that in your daily life, and you can do it with your goals. Notice a goal you have. Just consider what your current highest priority goal is. What values are at the heart of this goal? Another way of asking this that can be helpful is, when I achieve this goal, what will that give me? And keep asking, okay, well, when I get that, what will that give me? Until you arrive at something where there's nothing underneath it. And these are your values. Write those down. Notice that your values are the light that shines through all of your intentions. Your values are the essence, the core of everything that you do. And this kind of perspective will help you to dial things in, to optimize and refine your patterns. You'll notice, like, oh, yeah, this pattern that I have, that I've been holding, I can see that what I actually want in that context, it's more about peace than it is about love or joy. And I've been giving a lot of attention to expressing love and joy in that context. But really, what I want in that situation is more about peace. So I'm going to give peace more attention in that context. Whatever the thing is, whatever the value is. When you know your values, it's much easier to identify discrepancies in our patterns, see where the disconnect is. The most effective and efficient strategy for any of your goals is a sustainable one that is aligned with your values. And in some cases, that might be more this value than that value. Another point to consider is that you can't really perceive your values with your senses, right? Because everything has a shape, a color, and a location. Your values are qualities that you desire to express through specific types of experiences. In a sense, you are your values. It's helpful to be aware of this intrinsic quality of your values, that they themselves are innate to you. Peace, love, joy, freedom, prosperity, these are intrinsic to your nature. And your quest is to create experiences, unique expressions of those values, those innate qualities of you. And this unique expression of these values is your life. All your material goals consist of experiences that you believe to be expressive of your values. This is really helpful because then you recognize that your goals may change. They may transform and evolve over time as you gain clarity about your quest. But your values are eternal and they're broad. They encompass so many different things, and there's overlap between those things. So it can be helpful to reference our values when we're really not clear about how to posture ourselves or what to focus on, what actions to take. In those situations, we can do a value check. What values do I intend to express in this context? And give those our attention. And in doing this, we invite clarity into our experience. Yes, I want to prioritize love in this context. How may I express love in this situation? This leads to clarity about our values, leads to clarity about who we are, and clarity about what we truly intend to do with our lives. That's better. Above all the skills that I've learned in my life, what has been most holistically valuable to me is to sincerely articulate my intentions with words. Because, truth be told, that's the golden key. That's why we created language, to be very definitive. When we're sincere and explicit about what we want, then the only thing that could be in the way of that is interference. And that can be cleared out with more explicit and honest self-talk. Because it's all you. You're doing all of it. Your whole experience is informed by your beliefs, which are choices. Beliefs are intentions. Your choices in how you posture yourself, how you orient and conduct yourself. Your choices inform your experience. Now, the thing is that there's more to you than you think. So when something happens and you don't recognize that readily as an effect which you're causing, it may just be unconscious. It may just be that there's some subtle narrative, some sensation, an image or several, a pattern which you're holding but are not presently consciously aware of. And that pattern is informing your posture, orientation, and conduct. These patterns become easier and easier to identify the more you notice them, or rather, as you become more competent, you become more effective at noticing these patterns. When you do notice these previously unconscious patterns, usually that is enough to dissolve the thing. But then the question is, what sort of pattern might be conducive to what I want, helpful and supportive of what I want? If there's something that I want to change, I must have some idea of what I want instead. Hopefully, it's clear at this point that gaining clarity about what you want is the most important thing for you to do. In a broad sense, yes, but also in your daily life. So we'll talk more about both, but let's start with the broad context. To put it simply, sincerely endeavoring to know yourself, by identifying your true desires or holistic intentions will reveal ways of thinking and feeling and other actions you can take in the direction of what you want, which will help you to effectively orient yourself in that direction in support of what you want. Then, if you're holding any patterns which are interfering with your holistic life intentions, you'll identify them and sort them out. Your clarity about what you really want will naturally yield sound strategy for navigating any situation. Now, a sound, effective, efficient, and sustainable holistic life strategy that is totally aligned with your true core values and your true soul desires may take some time, but just going through different parts of your life and getting clear about what you actually want in these different domains, just doing that, just looking over here at this part of your life and contemplating, like, what do I really want there in that situation? What do I really want? Just consistently doing that will move mountains for you. I created an organizational tool called the Psyche Sorting System, and I made it for that purpose, to have kind of a fun, interactive way of combing through the psyche and finding knots and resolving them by getting clear about what you want instead. If you don't have, if you don't believe that you have any clarity about what you really want, it's unlikely that you will fulfill the desires that you do have in the kind of timeframes that you would like. It could take lifetimes if you have no idea what you want. So even a vague idea of what you want is better than none at all. If you're at a restaurant with a massive menu that includes many things that you don't like, and you have no idea about what you would like from that menu, how likely is it that the waiter is going to bring you something that you'll actually want to eat? Something that will actually be fulfilling to you? Even if you only have a vague idea. Well, okay, no meat, no wheat, something with broccoli, no tomatoes, whatever. Those vague preferences will help the waiter enormously in finding something that you might actually like. And in the same way, having some idea about what you want is extremely helpful to you because you are the creator of your life. Your experience is formed by your choices, and you have you have more clarity about which choices are attractive to you when you have some idea of what you want. If creation is like a restaurant, you're always placing orders based on what you're giving your attention to most consistently. So the next time that you notice something that you don't like about your experience, ask yourself this cosmic question: what specifically did I do to create this experience? There's always something that we're doing internally, some pattern which is informing our outer experience. Some sensations and beliefs are involved. And so a narrative is created. And that is, in some ways, the frame through which we witness our experience. The narrative that we're using becomes the frame. That narrative may be very subtle, but you can identify it. And once we identify how we are causing our experience, we can neutralize the situation pretty quickly by getting very specific about what exactly we don't like or perceive as problematic in our experience. Because when we examine this sincerely, we only find accountability. It's our belief in our narratives that leads us to conclude that there is a problem. So once we know that we're causing the thing we don't like, we can reframe our experience and reorient in a way that's actually helpful to us and supportive of what we want. Because that's where we want to be. That's what we want to be doing, creating the experience that we want. And so to do that, we can ask the ever powerful question, what do I want instead? And earnestly receive the answer. And most of the time, when people ask themselves this question, they'll get an immediate response from themselves. But if they don't know what they want at all, if they're totally at a loss for words to describe what they want, they may find themselves uncomfortable without any idea of why. Just like a sense of aversion to the thing that they don't like. If that's your experience, rather than give the discomfort your sustained attention, you can use the discomfort as a reminder to ask yourself, what do I want instead? And this inquiry is a great approach to life in general. Now, having clarity about what you want in a specific moment, in a specific context, is helpful in that moment, in that context. So hypothetically, you could just go on operating like that indefinitely. However, that can be problematic because if what you think you want in a specific context is not aligned with what you really want, your true soul desires, your values, then that gap between the two will likely at some point become clear to you in a way that could be very painful. So, to spare ourselves mountains of unnecessary pain, it benefits us immensely to identify our true core desires, our true core values. These true core values are fundamental qualities of you. Everything that you desire to experience is an expression of one or more of these qualities. And these qualities, these values are things like peace, love, freedom, joy, health, prosperity, those sorts of things. These qualities of you, which are at the heart of your holistic life intentions, all of your goals. Now, under all the content, what everyone wants is to know thyself and exercise our creative powers. But our true desires express through every individual in unique and wonderful ways. And that is why I am encouraging you to discover yours. You know already why you're here. You may have forgotten, but if I'm doing my job correctly, the concepts and techniques that I am presenting have been or will help you to remember your quest. Your values, as I said, are fundamental qualities of you. And it can be helpful when we peel back the layers of what we think we want and find that underneath all of that is peace, freedom, love, joy, and so on, because those things are available to us. I mean, they're within. These are inner resources that we can access at any time. So that's helpful. It's like, yes, I want this specific kind of experience as an expression of peace and love. Now, I can give my attention to the peace and love right now. And I can even give my expression to the experience that I want in alignment with peace and love. And that can be a positive activity to think about this thing that I want, recognize the values that that experience is expressing. And that can be a positive, helpful thing because where attention goes, energy flows. I mean, giving your attention to what you want is how you manifest. That's how you're manifesting your life through your consistent attention. So, as we peel back the layers of what we think we want or the experiences that we want, even as we gain clarity about the specific experiences and the circumstances, the values hold steady. They're the same values. Maybe right now it looks like $1 million or a super yacht, but later it might look like an airship, a beachside villa, or a music studio, or a painting, or a family. Whatever the expression may be, the values will be the same. So, knowing your values is very helpful in the day to day. Sometimes we've got many different things going on, and fluidity is helpful for navigating because our values are broad. They allow us this fluidity to do things in different contexts that are aligned with our values, but not something that we would necessarily do in a different context. Because maybe we don't know. Maybe we don't know exactly what we're going to do for the entire day, and we're winging it sometimes. For that, it's helpful to know our values. So when we feel uncomfortable and we do the inquiry, what do I want instead? That might be answered with a value or two. If you're not really clear about what specific action to take. But knowing the values that you intend to express in that context could be a foundation for you to consider what actions might be helpful. Like, okay, like I'm feeling uncomfortable. What do I want instead? Oh, I want peace. So how can I express peace in this moment? Breathing. Yeah. Yeah. Hydrating. Yeah. Peace. Gaining clarity about what we really want is a journey. Your ideas about your vision may be very different now than they will be by the time that you see it completely fulfilled. But your values hold steady the whole time. So even if you don't have a word for word script of your best life, that's fine. But giving your attention consistently and frequently every day to your values will support you in gaining greater clarity in your quest. Without some idea of what you want, you have no barometer to measure whether what you're doing, the experience you're creating, is aligned with what you really want. Even if it is aligned with what you really want, how would you even know without some idea, even a vague one, about what that is? Again, with the restaurant, if you're at a restaurant with a massive menu that includes many things you don't like, and you haven't the foggiest about what you would like from that menu, how likely is it that the waiter is going to bring you something that you'll actually want to eat that will be fulfilling to you? So, in a way, values are more important than goals. Maybe not more important, maybe more reliable, more stable. Goals change, values don't, because goals are temporary, contextual, transient expressions of values, which are consistent, stable. When you're considering how did I create this experience, when you encounter an uncomfortable situation, when you feel uncomfortable or off balance, and you ask, how exactly did I create this experience? What do I need to learn from this? What do I want instead? Your values, if you know them, will probably be some of the first things that are offered up as what you want instead. What you want in any given situation is going to be rooted in your values. You might prioritize some more than others in different situations, but your values are always at the heart of the things that you want to experience. So, as we approach the conclusion of this presentation, I'd like to briefly suggest something else for your consideration, and that is making a habit of celebrating your baby steps as a way of acknowledging yourself, inclusive of your personal psyche, your humanish form and life, and your sincere presence. Because every action that you take in the direction of your goals is worth celebrating. Now, I'm not saying that it's wise to be flippant and disregard your responsibilities every time you finish a 5-minute project. I'm just suggesting that it can be very helpful to acknowledge your progress toward your goals, even if it's relatively small progress. Just a little, hey, listen, listen, hey, you're doing great. It benefits you to be a nourishing environment to the embodied being that you identify through, for earnestly showing up and giving attention to your quest. Now, it may be that you're not currently getting the kind of results that you want. And if that's the case, I invite you to take responsibility for your experience. Humbly acknowledge the feedback you are receiving, which is showing you what choices, what patterns of yours are working and which are not. A lack of results is a blessing. It's an opportunity to assess your strategies, your patterns, to check your orientation, your conduct, and reference your values. Remember this inquiry. When you encounter something and frame it as problematic, how specifically did I create this experience? Notice the patterns of thought and sensation which you use to create the experience you're having. Then remember the ever powerful inquiry, what do I want instead? What I'm experiencing that I don't like, what I want instead. How am I causing this? What I want instead. Identify the gap between the two and close the gap. We don't have to be fixated on the gap while we're doing this, but we benefit from acknowledging it and holding ourselves accountable to it. Remember the inquiries from earlier. What exactly did I do to create this experience? Okay, I believed this and that, and I oriented myself accordingly. And that posture has been blocking what I want. What do I want instead? I want joy. Okay, well, that's different than what I was doing. I see that the patterns that I was using to create that old experience, and I think I'm going to posture myself more like this. Yeah, this posture is more aligned with what I want. And lastly, what can I learn from this? I'm going to come up with a better approach to this aspect of my experience, one that's more effective and more aligned with my values. It may take a little while to get all of the pieces in place, but I can start by actually sincerely doing my breath awareness practice twice a day or whatever the simplest action is. You can change anything and everything in your life, your thoughts, your patterns, your experience, and having some sense of what you want is the most valuable knowledge to have when it comes to making changes. The more clarity you have about what you want, the more readily you can give your attention to what you want. And the more attention you give to what you want, the more you give it energy. And so the more clarity you gain about it, which allows you to give it more energy more easily. Gaining clarity and giving attention to what you want works. They work together synergistically. Life is easier when you have some idea of what you want, because then your only job is to give that your attention. And that is the supreme importance of knowing what you want. I know there was a lot in this presentation. It's the first of what I intend to be an indefinitely ongoing series of presentations like this. So I wanted to make it comprehensive, establish a really firm foundation. Hopefully it made some sense and was helpful, has been helpful to you. So just to briefly summarize some key takeaways. The quest principle, that every living being has a quest. And for humanish beings, this is the journey of discovering your true desires and values, achieving your goals, as well as the universal intent to know the true self. Gaining clarity about what you want with the inquiry, what do I want? And this inquiry done over time yields more and more clarity continuously. Material goals are useful, but are most fulfilling when rooted in core values like peace, love, joy, freedom, and prosperity, and so on, because these are more consistent and stable. And focusing on those as the core can help us to develop strategies and patterns which are aligned with those values, which are going to be more holistically sound than strategies and patterns that are not aligned with our values. Identifying and referencing your values clarifies your intentions and aligns your life actions in ways that are sustainable for you. Values are intrinsic qualities of you, while experiences are unique expressions of those qualities. Honest, explicit self-talk, and most pointedly, in the context of this presentation, the inquiry, what do I really want, on a regular basis, daily, is vital. And when we encounter experiences that we don't want or perceive as problematic, similar, honest, explicit self-talk is extremely valuable. Inquiries like, what did I do to create this experience? What do I want instead? And what can I learn from this? Asking ourselves these questions helps identify and dissolve any unconscious patterns we may be holding that are interfering with our goals. Contextual clarity is useful, but inadequate on its own. Again, aligning with your true core values and gaining clarity about your holistic life intentions mitigates the potential for unnecessary pain and supports your natural intelligence in yielding sound, viable, and sustainable ways of orienting and conducting yourself. Your sincerity in self-inquiry, your clear articulation of intent, and your alignment with your goals these are a firm cosmic foundation for you to create the life experience that you truly intend, that which is your quest. The meetings following this one will be in the form of a Zoom call like this one, and anyone is welcome to join. There's a link in the description for that. After the presentation part, this part that we're about to wrap up, after that, I'll end the recording for that, and then we'll do group coaching for about an hour afterwards. So if you would like direct support from me with things in your life that you're struggling with, or things that you would like to improve, coming to these meetings could be a great opportunity for you to do that. The link I mentioned in the description will take you to a page where you can download the Psyche Sorting System, which is a very helpful organizational tool that I made to support you in creating the life that you truly desire. And once you plug in your email to that and click the buttons, you'll receive a link to join these meetings. I'm also currently offering free introductory coaching sessions, which you can schedule via the one-to-one coaching link on my Linktree or by emailing me. I sometimes have availability outside of my schedule on the site. So if you don't see a time that works for you on there, send me an email and we'll see if we can find a time that works for both of us. If you value my work, you are welcome to support me with monetary gifts. There are multiple options for doing that on my Linktree. If you do so, please include the word gift in the note or memo. Thank you for being. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your witness. Take care. Blessings.